Hello and welcome to Oulton Park, that plays host to round 2 of the 2019 Mazda MX-5 SuperCup. We kicked things off in fine fashion last time out at a sunny Snetterton, where three of the pre-season title favourites, Aidan Hills, Jack Harding and Luke Herbert, shared the wings amongst themselves. This weekend, Aidan is on pole position at the circuit where he took his first ever victory last season. Can he do it again? Well, it's almost time to find out. Race 1 is just moments away. We've had 3 great races already at Snetterton. What will Oulton Park have in store for us? Well, for Aidan Hills, it's a pole position. Luke Herbert alongside him, though. Steve Roberts with a return to form. He's third alongside Jack Harding, then Will Stacey and Gary Townsend. Will Stevenson and Nick Rutter on the fourth row. Patrick Fletcher and Bradley Kent next. Then Jack Singapore and David Henderson, whilst George Grant and Christopher Richardson round out the field. So, first of 3 races here at Oulton Park, then 3 races in a day as well, so will the drivers maybe err on the side of caution a bit more in this first race, knowing that there's not much repair time between the 3 races today. They've already qualified. It's a full-on day of action here at Oulton Park, and this should be a full-on race full of action as well. The red lights go on, Aidan Hills on the left, Luke Herbert on the right. Who will lead into Old Hall Corner? Let's find out. The lights go out, away we go. The start is always vital, especially here at Oulton Park, where in theory it's difficult to overtake. Luke Herbert's got his nose in front already, but Aidan Hills will surely fight back on the inside line. Wheel to wheel for the race lead already. Hills is sideways, Herbert's on the grass though. Oh, and behind, around goes David Henderson and Nick Rutter as well, in some spectacular uniform spinning down the avenue. They both, though, avoid any serious contact with anything and will rejoin. So Hills leads the way then. He's managed to find a way back ahead of Herbert, who's down to second. Harding is third. So the 3 H's once again have got themselves to the head of the order. Steve Roberts is fourth. Will Stacey there in 5th place going with them as well. And this should be a really entertaining battle at the front of the field. Aidan Hills in the race lead will be trying to break away if he can. But we saw this last year when he took that debut victory at Oulton Park. He had to get his elbows out pretty much from start to finish to fend off his teammate Luke Herbert. And I think we're in for much the same sort of story today, because Luke is very much going with him in the early stages. Harding and Roberts next in line behind as they hammer the curbs, even on cold tyres, through the Britain chicane. You can gain quite a lot of track time from using the curbs around here, but you do risk taking a toll on your car. If you really hammer them, you can damage suspension, wheels, drive shafts. You've got to be a bit careful, but there's a lot of lap time to be found. There is Will Stevenson turning his way through the Britain chicane. Will had a bit of an up and down day last time out at Snetterton, a 12th and non-finish, and then 4th from the back of the grid to 6th in race 3. He'll be hoping for more of the same here today. So back across the start-finish line goes Aidan Hills, then leading the way. Luke Herbert right with him. He looks to the inside line at Old Hall. Can't quite do it though. Harding there sitting in line in 3rd, and this fascinating battle between these 3 is set to continue, I think, all season long. But now throw into the mix Steve Roberts, who was not particularly happy after particularly his race 3 non-finish at Snetterton. He'd had a decent day until then, a pair of 4th place finishes, but was bemoaning the fact that he didn't have quite as much speed as he'd like out of that car. And then was particularly grumpy after the non-finish, but he's right back to form here and is escaping with the leading 3. They're dropping Will Stacey slightly now in 5th position, and then it's a big gap back to, I think, Gary Townsend, who's still 6th. Through the shell hairpin then. Aidan Hills continuing to try and break away here. There is Gary Townsend, who runs wide in 6th position. Will Stevenson, I don't think he's quite close enough to take advantage. Then it's Bradley Kent. Those 3 were very evenly matched in qualifying as well. And so too were these 4, really. The top 4 in qualifying were separated by just 0.4 of a second. Is a good points haul early in the season, and so he doesn't really need to go taking too many risks here, but the racer in Steve will be telling him to go for it, to push for 2nd place. And whilst Jack Harding's sort of on the ropes here, defending so heavily, there's every chance that he could do it. Will Stacey's wide again, and he is now starting to run the risk of getting a penalty for exceeding track limits as we go on to the final lap of what has been a sensational opening race of the day, and it's not over yet. The fight for 2nd place continuing. Jack Harding defending hard through Old Hall Corner. Lots of drivers seem to be struggling with oversteer through some of the high-speed corners. We've seen it from Herbert, Hills, and Jack Harding getting sideways at times as well. But so far so good for Jack, who is hanging on to this 2nd position. He came into this race in 2nd place in the championship, though, 6 points behind Luke Herbert. He's set to lose 2 more points in this race, and that's if he hangs on to 2nd place. Steve Roberts in 3rd is doing everything he can to make sure that doesn't happen, and you can't count Will Stacey out yet either. Aidan Hills, by the way, has set the fastest lap earlier on, and he's held on to it so far, so if all else fails, he will at least get a 5th place finish with the 2 points for fastest lap, but he's still going to lose ground in the early championship race. to some of his real championship rivals, you have to suspect. Luke Herbert the leader, Jack Harding second, and Steve Roberts definitely championship material this year if he could just get a bit better luck, really. He was pretty much luckless all year last year. He had the odd race where things went well, and then almost as quickly as it started to go right for him, it seemed to go wrong. Meanwhile, for Luke Herbert, there is one more challenge to overhaul here. His Rob Boston Racing teammate Nick Rutter is not exactly leaping out of his way as he goes a lap down. Now I think he's finally negotiated the orange machine, and Luke Herbert is now only one corner away from his second victory of the season, and this will be career win number 14 to move to within one victory of the all-time record. It's side by side for second place though, as Steve Roberts has gone around the outside at Druids to try and take second place away. Can't do it interlodge. He gives Jack Harding a nerf through the apex of the corner, and it will be a sprint to the checkered flag, which is taken first by Luke Herbert, his second victory of the season, to extend his championship lead for second. It's very close indeed, but Jack Harding holds on by the skin of his teeth from Steve Roberts third, Will Stacey fourth, and Aidan Hills some way back will come home fifth. Well, a breathless opening encounter here at Oulton Park. Herbert takes the victory by 4.2 seconds in the end over Harding, Roberts, Stacey and a disappointed Aidan Hills. Patrick Fletcher got sixth in the end ahead of Will Stevenson and Gary Townsend, then Bradley Kent and Jack Sycamore. David Henderson, Chris Richardson and Nick Rutter round out the finishers, whilst George Grant was the only non-finisher from the opening race of the day. Luke Herbert, congratulations, second victory of the season. There's no such thing as an easy victory in this championship, and my word, that wasn't easy.
No, I mean, Aidan did the crucial thing this weekend to get pole. You know, if you can get pole and get off at the start, then it's effectively your race. The only thing that's going to stop you is mistakes. Unfortunately, Aidan got track limits warning 4 laps in, and I know from personal experience, it plays with your head. So if he hadn't got that, he'd have driven away from me. But the fact that he got track limit, you know, he slowed down a bit. I caught him, and then I think the pressure of me being on him just made a slight mistake into the hairpin. I think he looked at his rear wheels, and that was it. I was up the inside.
Well, Jack Harding, second place then, back on the podium again. This is at the moment an unbroken run of podium, so you've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, it's always good to get a podium. It's early days in the championship, so there's a long way to go. I mean, it's nice to get wins, but it's not the end of the world at this stage. So just collecting points. But yeah, we're just struggling. Straight line speed. After about 2 or 3 laps, it happened at Snetterton. When I'm in people's dirty air, it's just literally overheating the engine, and we're losing loads of power. And I'm just a sitting duck. Whereas in the last race at Snetterton last time, I was in the lead on my own, and I was fine.
Steve Roberts, congratulations. Great to see you back on the podium. You're a lot happier now than when we last spoke at Snetterton, that's for sure.
Yeah, we struggled for a little bit of pace at Snetterton. So yeah, we're back on it here. I'm a little bit happier, but not as happy as I won't be until I'm on that top step. So yeah, I've got to start banking the points, because this year we came back to try and navigate the championship, which is exactly what the aim is. So.
Race number 2 for the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup about to get underway here in bright conditions at Oulton Park, with Aidan Hills on pole position. Now Aidan, you started on pole in the first race, but things didn't quite go to plan, did they?
Yeah, it was. The first few laps went to plan perfectly. You know, we had a gap, fastest lap, and then I saw a little flag come across the line which said track limits for me. So I had to be a little bit cleaner and just drive within myself and make sure that I'm not making any mistakes, because a 5-second penalty with these 3 behind me, you know, you're going to be 4th or 5th. So try to just maintain the gap. Luke obviously didn't have a warning, so he could keep up with me and caught us up. And to be fair, completely my own fault. Just made a mistake into Shell Oils, and he got back past me. And then the race was okay. I was in second again, and then tried to make a lunge on him and locked up and went off again. It was just a lot of different stuff going on, you know. It's a classic Mazda race, you know. If you make one mistake, it normally leads to another 2 or 3, because you're pushing that extra bit that these cars don't like being pushed, that extra bit. So yeah, hopefully I'll clean it up in this one and just drive a little bit more of my head instead of my heart.
Well, let's hope the car is okay as well. I suppose you'll find out on that green flag lap in a moment or two. That green flag lap is about to get underway, because race number 2 is just a few moments away. So time for me to make my way to the commentary box. Well, after a spectacular first race of the day, we're expecting nothing different here in the second race at Oulton Park. They start this one based on second fastest tyres from qualifying, so it's Aidan Hills back on pole position alongside Steve Roberts this time. Herbert and Harding share the second row ahead of Will Stacey and Will Stevenson, then Nick Rutter and Gary Townsend on the 4th row. Row 5 for Patrick Fletcher and Bradley Kent. Row 6, Jack Sycamore and David Henderson, with George Grant and Chris Richardson bringing up the rear. So Aidan Hills with a point to prove here, I think, really, after the disappointment disappointment of race number 1, where he threw away a podium finish and ended up 5th. He's back on pole position, and Herbert and Harding are back on row number 2. Can Aiden take advantage of this? Can Steve Roberts take his first victory of the season? All of those questions and more set to be answered over 20 minutes of racing at Oulton Park. The lights are out, we're away again, and down towards Old Hall Corner. It is a pretty even start from both front row men, but Hills has his nose in front and has the inside line, so should lead. Yes, he does. Steve Roberts trying to come through into second place, which he will also do. Now, do we get the ball safely through? Well, Stacey's on the grass, so too Bradley Kent a bit further back, but no spins this time, and the whole field races down towards Cascades for the first time of asking. Jack Harding there going up the inside of Luke Herbert for third, and Luke losing a position, and in fact, Will Stacey might get alongside him as well, so not a great start that for the championship leader, who could find himself as low as 5th position on the run down the Lakeside Straight. He's got the tow, though, from the cars in front. Will Stacey, though, has the inside line for Island Bend. Who will blink first? Neither of them is the answer. They both run through the corner side by side, but Herbert, by virtue of going around the outside at Island, buys himself a ticket for the inside line at Shell, and Will, in fairness, knew when he was beaten and ducked back in line. There's Patrick Fletcher, who once again has a bit of ground to make up after a slightly disappointing qualifying performance, but we saw him come through from 9th on the grid to finish 6th in race 1. Can he break into the top 5, I wonder, here today, like he did in the first 2 races at Snetterton? Bradley Kent there, the orange and white Essex and Kent Motorsport number 44 car, who was part of that battle with Fletcher and Stevenson and Gary Townsend in race 1. Well, that looks set to continue, because there are Townsend and Stevenson, there is Kent. The orange car is Nick Rutter, who we didn't really get to see the best of in the previous race after his first corner spin, and then it's Patrick Fletcher, who hasn't quite made the ground in the early stages that he would have liked. Before with David Henderson, who's chasing that battle. You can see the black car of Fletcher there weaving around. Henderson gesticulating, and I think that's George Grant behind him, saying that they need to work together to try and go after the pack of cars in front. Over Clay Hill, past the water tower, this left-hand king really unsettles the car. Right when you don't want it to be unsettled, because then you're throwing it into the right-hander at Druids. It's side-by-side almost for the race lead there. This is a familiar sight, isn't it? Aiden Hills leading the way at Oulton Park, but having to weave this way and that to keep the chasing pack at bay. Roberts is still second. Yes, there is the last lap award. Aiden Hills crosses the start-finish line in the lead. Luke Herbert crosses the start-finish line in second, but sets the fastest lap. So Luke Herbert, not only is he now actually starting to get a bit closer to Aiden Hills, the race leader, he's also nicked those 2 fastest lap points away from him. So, in fact, it wasn't even Aiden that had it. It was Harding that previously had the fastest lap. That man there, the red and white number 43 car, had the fastest lap. He's just lost it now, though, to Luke Herbert. So Luke, if he finishes second, will score exactly the same amount of points as Aiden Hills, and that will be good enough for him, I think, because with Harding down in third and Roberts in the kitty litter, that will be more than enough for Luke to maintain and indeed extend his championship lead over his nearest championship rival. Aiden Hills is still the leader though, and of course this is all assuming that Herbert doesn't mount a last challenge here for the victory. He is usually fairly sensible about this sort of thing, but again, he is a racer and he knows how tight this championship tends to be. He won the championship last year, remember, by just 4 points over Jack Harding. That's 2 positions on the track, so if you settle for second place in one race when you feel that you could have won it, and then you lose out on the championship by 2 points, you're going to spend the entire winter break looking back at that race where you missed the opportunity to perhaps take a couple more championship points. So Herbert, I'm sure, will apply the pressure here, and he's more than close enough to Aiden Hills to maybe have a go, not through this part of the circuit, but Lodge Corner, the final corner, is definitely one of the best overtaking opportunities on the circuit, both on the way into the corner and on the way out. So Aiden Hills has one more bit of defensive driving to do here if he wants to hang on and take his second victory of the season. Into Druids they go, through the double apexed right-hander, over the crest, and Luke Herbert is right there with him now. He's going to force Aiden to defend. Aiden will surely have to move over to the right-hand side of the road. He doesn't want to until the very last second, but he will have to because Luke Herbert was looking. Luke goes to the outside instead then. He'll look for that exit on the run through Deer Leap if he can get it. It's going to be a drag race to the line. Aiden Hills is going to try and hang on, and I think he's going to do it. Career win number 4, his second of the season, and a really great way to bounce back from the disappointment of race 1. Aiden Hills takes the checkered flag. Luke Herbert second. A very disappointed Jack Harding in third. Will Stacey, though, inherits fourth after Steve Roberts' demise. That was another great race. Confirmation of the results, just over a quarter of a second between the top two in the end. Harding third, Will Stacey fourth, and Will Stevenson into the top five. Then it was Bradley Kent, Patrick Fletcher, Nick Rutter, Gary Townsend and David Henderson, with Chris Richardson last. Steve Roberts, a non-finisher. George Grant was excluded from the result in the end, and Jack Sycamore failed to start. Well, Aidan Hills, congratulations, your second victory of the season, and that makes up a little bit for race one, doesn't it?
Yeah, obviously. Sorry to my dad and the team for the first race. It was completely my own fault. The car was bang on, and I was just driving trying too hard. We got a championship to fight for, and just wasn't driving properly. So yeah, in that race there was no way I was going to let anyone pass. As long as I got off the line first, got into the lead, I was going to win it. So in my eyes, everything went right. Obviously, a shame for Jack and Steve to have contact to go off. But yeah, the last few laps were a little bit scary when I saw that blue car coming in the mirror again, and was thinking, oh no, I've seen that before. But yeah, it's nice to hold him off and get a win, and let's see what reverse grid brings.
Well, Luke, second place finish in race two, some more good championship points there, especially because of the fastest lap. But for a while, it looked like you might not even be on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, after the first race win, started third in the second race. Jack got a good start from fourth, straight away got into third, progressed up past Steve Roberts. Again, I was just sitting in fourth. I didn't really feel I had the pace, but I don't know if I had the pace or if I was just reluctant to try and make a move on the other guys. So yeah, they were battling ahead. Aidan was leading the train, and then Steve Roberts locked up and hit the back of Jack and moved him out of the way for me. So yeah, I just always seem to be in the right place at the right time somehow.
Well, Jack Harding, an immensely frustrating race for you, I guess, but you're still on the podium, and it's still some championship points.
Yeah, it's lucky we didn't DNF, so obviously, like I said, podium's very good. We just got off the start, we did really well. In the first lap, managed to get past Luke into third, and then past Steve after a few laps. We made a change to the car from race one, and it seems to have transformed it. It was going really well.
Hadley, this is a real opportunity, isn't it? You don't mind getting stuck in, and now you're on the front row.
Yeah, we've got a good opportunity. We finished sixth in the last one, and obviously it's a reverse grid from I think it's top 7?
Yeah, I think so.
Eight. Yeah. And so yeah, we've got a good chance, but I mean, there's a few quick boys behind us. We've been struggling with power all weekend, so we're not as fast as them in a straight line, so we'll just see what we can do, really.
The good news is there are lots of corners here, though.
Exactly. There's a lot of twisty corners as well, so find a bit of grip and hopefully we'll keep with them. But yeah, just get stuck in, hopefully.
You've not had a podium before. I'm sure I don't need to remind you of that. This is one of your best chances to do it. What do you reckon?
I'll give it a good go. Yeah, I'll give it a good go.
Sounds exciting. Well, we're looking forward to seeing how he, Patrick and the rest of the field get on as well. Will Stevenson third, he's one to watch, and so too Will Stacey from fourth on the grid. It's going to be a good one. Well, races 1 and 2 were very good. I've no doubt race 3 will be exactly the same. Patrick Fletcher and Bradley Kent then share row 1. The two Wills are next, Stevenson ahead of Stacey on row 2. Then the top 3 from race 2 in reverse order. Jack Harding, Luke Herbert and the race 2 winner Aidan Hills is 7th ahead of Nick Rutter. Then Gary Townsend and David Henderson, Chris Richardson and Steve Roberts from 12th is a fascinating prospect ahead of Jack Sycamore and George Grant. Now the first lap of this race will be the 1,550th lap of racing in the MX-5 SuperCup history. It will also see the completion of the 3,000th mile of racing, remarkably, since the start of 2013. Who will lead the 3,000th mile? Who will win round number 6 of the championship? Let's find out. Away we go. The lights are out there, rushing towards Old Hall Corner, and Patrick Fletcher's made a decent start from the front row of the grid. Keep an eye on the blue car, though. The second of the blue cars on the outside line there is Luke Herbert, and Jack Harding's got up the inside. There's a few on the grass. Oh, sideways. Who's that getting sideways? Is that Will Stacey? No, it's I'll identify it in a moment. It looked worryingly like it might have been Aidan Hills, possibly. Fletcher's in the lead, but he locks up and goes straight on, and Bradley Kent goes into the race lead. Brilliant opening exchanges here in this second race of the day. It is Bradley Kent with the advantage, but Will Stacey is on the attack already. Dives to the inside, down towards Island Bend, and he goes through. So Stacey leads the way. Kent is second. Jack Harding's made good progress as well. Kent's on the grass. Fletcher's on the grass as well. And they both follow each other into the weeds and will fall fall right to the tail of the field. That's a real shame for both of them. Bradley Kent from the race lead, unfortunately, off the road, and Patrick Fletcher goes off in sympathy. They're two quick drivers, though, and they should be able to work their way up the order. So Will Stacey leads the way now. Harding second, Herbert third, Will Stevenson is fourth. There is no sign of Aidan Hills. There he is. He's down in about 8th or 9th place as Jack Harding goes for the race lead. I have never seen an overtake for the race lead there. He just got such superior traction off the Britain chicane, and Jack Harding already, having started the race down in 5th, leads at the Hislop chicane for the first time. Herbert goes second, Stevenson third, Stacey gets elbowed out wide, and Steve Roberts is 5th from 12th on the grid. He's picked his way through the chaos on the opening lap, and he's already right up the order. Now, this is Aidan Hills pulling alongside Nick Rutter. He is a lot further down the order than he should be, so I think it was Aidan that we saw getting spat out of the pack on the opening lap and ended up off the road and losing ground. He goes up the inside of David Henderson, so he's gaining ground back, but he can see the leaders already are a long way in front, and in a field as evenly matched as this, he can't afford to let them get too far away. Right now, though, the top two are more concerned with battling each other than pulling a gap on the rest of the field. Harding defending the race lead, Herbert trying to tee up the better exit, but got a bit sideways. Will Stacey and Steve Roberts are dicing away for 4th position as the 1,550th lap and the 3,000th mile of racing is led by Jack Harding. And what a lap of racing that was, to go from 5th on the grid to lead by halfway around the lap. Will Stacey is sideways as Steve Roberts went up the inside of him. It's a really nice save by Stacey, but he loses more positions. Through goes Gary Townsend, through goes Aidan Hills, and several others as well. Jack Sycamore amongst those gaining ground. He unfortunately has just thrown away potentially a chance for a podium finish. Now Steve Roberts is off. What went on there? Steve Roberts just didn't slow down through Cascades. I don't know whether he outbraked himself, or maybe if something's on the road, because we've seen him not trying to push Aidan off the track, trying to push them both along a little bit more quickly down the straight, so as to negate a bit of the advantage that Harding has built up. But I really don't think they're going to be able to get there, are they? In Mazda MX-5 SuperCup terms, that 3 or 4 car length advantage that Harding's built up is enormous, really, and especially with only half a lap to go, I don't think they're going to have an easy time reeling him back in. Steve Roberts in 4th position is doing his best to try and get back on that podium. What's going to happen then with just less than half a lap to go? Herbert again waving at the drivers around him to try and get a bit of synchronised driving together here so that they can work together and close in on the leader, but I really think it's too little too late. Jack Harding, as he comes out of Knickerbrook Corner, is looking good for the victory. Not only will it give him the win record, but championship points-wise, this is good news as well, because he lost a few points to Herbert and Hills in the previous race, and now it looks as though he might take some points back out of them. And with Herbert down in 3rd place and Steve Roberts holding the fastest lap at the moment, that will be a 4-point advantage for Jack Harding, and he will really start to reel in Herbert as far as the championship lead is concerned. Herbert again has his hand out of the cockpit as he attacks for 2nd place through Lodge Corner. It will not be the victory though, it's going to be a headbutt into the tail of Aidan Hills' car, but win number 16 and the all-time win record in the MX-5 SuperCup goes to Jack Harding, and it is 2 wins apiece for the big 3 after the first 6 races of the season. Aidan Hills is 2nd, Luke Herbert 3rd, and Steve Roberts in 4th position. A real fighting drive that from towards the back of the grid. A brilliant victory from Harding then. Hills in 2nd place. Herbert will still be the championship leader, but by a reduced margin. Roberts is 4th, and Will Stevenson gets a 5th place finish. Then Gary Townsend, Patrick Fletcher, Jack Sycamore, Will Stacey, and David Henderson. No non-finishers that time either. They all got to the flag, and what a sensational day of racing we've had here at Oulton Park. Well, Jack, congratulations, another race victory. You've completed the set of podiums as well here, a 1st, a 2nd and a 3rd today. It's been an eventful one, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. After the last race, I was a bit frustrated. I thought we had the pace to win, really. Was in 2nd and sadly got taken out, but managed to salvage a podium. Started 5th in this race, got off the line quite well. Me and Luke side by side coming out of turn 1. And then I just manned it around the outside of a few cars into the next bend and managed to get myself, I think, into 2nd, and then managed to get 1st in the next corner.
Aidan, about 2 laps into that, I thought you were out of it. You were down in 7th place. Those two had gone into 1st and 2nd, and you just carved your way through.
Well, yeah, the first corner, I don't think I've ever had a first corner so bad in my life. I went through the corner, the back end come out, I was on the grass, I was then on the grass on the inside. Luckily, everyone missed me. But I look in the mirror and no one was there. So that was a bit annoying. I thought I'd blown the race, you know.
Luke, congratulations. A 1st, a 2nd and a 3rd for the day, which means you've gained, I think, 2 points on Jack all day.
Yeah, Jack had exactly the same results. I had a quickest lap in the second race, so yeah, 2 points up from the weekend. But you know, 2 points is crucial. So come out the weekend with the most points. Yeah, I'd have liked to have got a second or a first in that last race, but me, Jack, and Aidan put on a good performance. I got in the lead for one lap and one corner, and then missed a gear. So yeah, I sort of cost myself the win, but you know,